Hey Jason, how you doing, man?
Hey Lance, how's it going with you today?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. You
That's
calling from Canada?
what?
Are you calling from Canada?
Calling from Nova Scotia, Canada. Yeah.
Nova Scotia. Wow, man, it's been a long time since I've been up there, man.
Was the last time you came down here?
Man, probably 1990. That's how far back. 97,
With who?
maybe 98. Lucky Peterson.
Okay.
Yeah, we played a lot of festivals. We went all the way up to Bay Como, I think, as far up as we went.
Okay, that's pretty far.
Yeah, we went all the way up to Bay Como. We drove, we took a ferry, took a boat, and then we drove all the way back through Detroit and then all the way back to Texas.
Wow. How's touring today, compared to back then?
Oh,
It's
it's the same. I mean, we're in a van playing the blues,
yeah.
driving all over the place. That's how it was then. I mean, we drove from Texas to Nova Scotia.
To Nova Scotia, Canada. That's a pretty long trip.
It's
Certainly in a
yeah,
van.
definitely, definitely.
Lance Lopez, you got a new album, Trouble is Good. And let me tell you, Trouble is Good is sounding good. The,
Thank you so much, Jason.
the sonic value on this album is going back to
Thank
the
you.
1970s.
Oh wow,
The
thank
sound
you.
quality. If
Thank
that's
you
what you
so
wanted,
much.
you've done it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for those kind words, Jason. Yeah, we worked really hard on it. And Joey Sykes and I, crafted some songs and I kind of had in mind what a sonic delivery that I wanted to have and how I wanted these songs to be presented. And so we got in the right team of musicians and then we had in the right team of engineers, and it just the combination made everything come together exactly the way that I had been hearing it in my mind. And so that was one of my greatest accomplishments with Trouble is Good.
What I found with the album is not only the guitar sound pretty solid and good, and it's got a
Thank you.
super unique tone, right? And the drums mixed with this. It, it
Yes.
it's got a good drum tone on it.
Well,
Also,
thank you. Well, thank you so much for recognizing that, Jason. Yes, we really paid close attention to the drums and the drum sounds and the drummers. I've been very fortunate to play with some of the greatest drummers of all time. Um, Buddy Miles, Kenny Aronoff, Mitch Mitchell. I mean, I've had the opportunity to jam and play and be in bands with great drummers. And so we needed great drummers on this record to translate these songs and really wanted these songs to hold up in that capacity. So I grew up loving a lot of the, like you said, the bands from the '70s. So I love a lot of those drum sounds. And so when I was writing a lot of this material, and Joey and I were kind of going back on this material, those were some of the drum sounds I was hearing on these songs.
mhm.
And so therefore it presented the question of what are the great drummers that play this way. And God bless the great Brian Tichy, who had, the great Bonzo Bash at NAMM every year and hosted all of the best drummers that you could possibly see. And so whenever I was at the NAMM show, that's the party that I went to, was the Bonzo Bash, to check out all the great drummers for future of possibly working with some of them, you know and and really networked and met a lot of great drummers at the Bonzo Bash. So this album features some of those drummers like John Hummel. John Hummel's one of those drummers that came out of the Bonzo Bash. Brian Tichy. Brian Tichy, of course, is on the album. But there's also Bobby Rondinelli, from Rainbow, which I was hearing. I'm a big Cozy Powell fan and always loved Cozy's playing from when he played with Jeff Beck and then later on with Richie Blackmore and Rainbow, and then all the musical situations that Cozy Powell was in, Black Sabbath, and Bobby had replaced Cozy Powell in Rainbow and in Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
both. So to have him and that, and Bobby and I had known each other from back when I lived in New York City back in the early 2000s, and we had always wanted to be in a musical situation together. We wanted to play together. Bobby was going to do some touring with me, and we never were able to make it link up. So he was another one of the first guys we thought of for the record. And so and we had great bass players as well. Danny Miranda from Blue Oyster Cult, who was also in Queen when Paul Rogers was the lead singer.
Okay.
At one time, we had Jurgen Carlson from Government Mule, Jack Daly from Lenny Kravitz's band, and just some really great bass players, and keyboard players, Buck Johnson from Aerosmith and the Hollywood Vampires, and Peter Keys from Leonard Skinner. And we had the great Greg Bissonette on the lead single on Jam with Me. I mean, who's out with Ringo right now and ELO. And I saw him when I was a little kid with David Lee Roth. So we had just a whole host of great artists show up to play on the record. So, I had a sonic delivery I wanted in mind for each musician that played on the album, and within each context of each song. And so Joey and I really worked hard on that, and we were able to work with Justin Cordelew, a great engineer here at Soul Train Studios in Nashville, who works with Bob Ezrin, as well as Dan Rothschild out in LA. And so I was real fortunate to have them, as far as the engineering side of the album was concerned. So, it was really great how the team just really came together. And so the title Trouble Is Good really is about the adversity, and it's a COVID era piece, and which is why most of these musicians' track were flown in, we did go record in New York with Bobby Rondinelli and Danny Miranda once things opened up and we were able to travel, and we went to Long Island, and we worked with Bob Stander at his studio there in Long Island. And, and we recorded the title track and Voyager and Uncivil War and some more things. And so, we were able to bring in a lot of our friends like Frank Latour, who plays harp on the title track, a lot of the East Coast guys, who I met through Johnny Winter. Johnny Winter was on the East Coast, and he knew all the blues guys there. And so I met them all through Johnny Winter, and it was amazing. So I really wanted to feature, some of them on the record, and which is why, Frank Latour is featured on the title track. So anyhow, we and the album was made between New York, Nashville, and LA. And there were songs that I had been working on, and songs that Joey and I exchanged ideas on. And so, and again, a lot of more stories that Joey wrote about my life. So it was a very interesting way that all the songs came together, and then the sonic delivery and the mix is how we wanted to present them.
When you have lineups like that, it's incredible. I mean, it's just that you have taste of, like, how could I say it, like Brian Tishy. Well, you got your Led Zeppelin, in there,
right?
And it's like you got your little taste of everything in the whole album, and it's like it pleases everybody in a sense. You don't like that track, the next one you'll like. You might,
right.
I don't know. You're naming some excellent musicians, the best of the best, the legends, basically. So yeah, that's the way to do it.
Right. And I was very fortunate to have them, and we were able to put some great songs together. And, it's really funny because Jurgen Carlson, the bass player, just left Government Mule recently. And the track that we did, it was Wild Country that we did with Brian Tichy. And it was Jurgen, Brian Tichy, and Buck Johnson from Aerosmith on keyboard. And Joey Sykes also playing guitar. And Jurgen was texting me the other day, and he was like, "That needs to be a fucking band." Sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, it's okay.
Because, but it was really funny because it's true. It's like each song has such an incredible lineup that each one could be such a powerhouse supergroup with each lineup on the record. So I was really fortunate how that really worked out, and a big thanks to Joey Sykes for lining a lot of that up and making that happen.
When you do take musicians from, let's say different types of groups, like a little bit of Black Sabbath and Rainbow, etc., you're grabbing fans also from these bands that discover, oh, Bobby Rondinelli is on this track. Well, I need to check it out now.
Right.
And that's a brilliant move, to do it that way also. You're
Right. Wow.
grabbing the fans from all over now, and now they're
Yeah.
going to check out Lance Lopez.
Right. Right. Wow. I've never thought about it like that,
That's the
man.
way I look at it.
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool way to look at it. Yeah. I just grabbed the greatest musicians that because I'm categorized as a blues rock artist. So I wanted Trouble Is Good to be more the aspect on the rock side of blues rock. These songs are in a rock way, but I'm still a blues guitar player and singer. So that's kind of how it's going to turn out. But I wanted to really get our good friends that we thought played rock the best and
Right.
have them play these blues influenced songs.
How's blues rock doing in Nashville these days?
It's really grown. I mean, there's a great traditional blues scene here in Nashville now. There's a lot of artists that have moved here, and a lot of guys from California have come here and various other places. I came from Texas here. So it's really grown. There's some great places to play. There's the Underdog in East Nashville. There's the East Side Bowl here. A lot of stuff on the East Nashville. That really, the 5 spot, it really supports the blues and blues rock. So a lot of great places to play. So I've been really playing at the Underdog quite a bit. It's kind of been my home bar. All the great guitar players play there in town. At any given time, you can see the best of the best in town. And it's just a complete master class of guitar playing. And then all the guitar players that are in town are hanging out there, hanging. So it's a pretty cool spot, and there's lots of other great music that happens there as well. So, but we have a really great vibe there. We just played there recently, and we play there quite a bit. So, but the blues scene here in Nashville has grown quite a bit.
How's the summer in Nashville now? Is it like booming, like super like busy?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty great. The tourism is up. There's a lot of people here. It's pretty warm. It's not as warm as Texas, but it's warm here. So, there's a lot of tourism and a lot of people, and it's really cool. So a lot of live music, but I'm working on a lot of music here at home, recording as well as playing guitars, preparing for the tour, etc. I'm surrounded right here next to me are loads of guitars and amps. So I'm usually at the house working on music.
How far are you going to be going with the tour?
Well, starting at the first week of September, we're going to be in South Florida, where it'll still be warm.
Yeah.
It'll be even warmer. So we'll be in South Florida Labor Day weekend here in the States, and we'll start in South Florida and work our way back into Texas and Louisiana, and we'll be in that area all throughout September, and then October the Midwest, and November the East Coast, and then back down in Texas and Louisiana at the first of the year, and then we're planning on some stuff for Europe and overseas coming up the first of the year, and some other plans for touring. So all the touring information can be found at lancelopez.net. We have a tour dates button on the website, so it's real easy to find. And so yeah, we plan on getting out and supporting Trouble Is Good as much as we can coming up. So
you mentioned it's warm. Like, is it because it's warmer than ever, or is it just warm? Or is it stuff?
It's just summertime in Tennessee.
Okay.
It's just it's warm down here. It's summertime in the South, so it's
Well,
it's warm.
Nova Scotia, this is our warmest year yet, it seems.
Wow.
That's why I was wondering what's going on here, because it's warm.
Right. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
It should be. Yeah. One thing I like to mention is like getting a Jeff Beck comment, in your press release. That's pretty amazing.
Well, thank you.
And
thank you.
You ever meet Jeff Beck and stuff like that? in your
Oh,
life?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we played shows together in Europe, and we had some amazing hangs. You know, and later on, person that was managing me back in those days reached out to his management and got that quote from him, and I was really shocked, when they came back with that, and but we had some amazing hangs. I remember there was a little crew of Japanese girls and a couple of Japanese guys that would hang, and they followed all the Jeff Beck gigs, and they were always backstage after the shows. And we had it was just so fun to watch Jeff and how he interacted with them, and the jokes and the fun that we had backstage. It was a lot of fun. But I learned a lot about my rig and how to play live, and how to use a Marshall amp live. For real. I mean, I had some old plexis, and Jeff turned me on to the JCM 2000s, the DSL 100s, and man, I brought back a bunch of vintage Marshalls and sold them, and I was like, I want these ones, and the guys were like, are you sure? I was like, Jeff Beck's using these, and this is what we were using on tour. And so from there on out, it became my fly rig amp. I mean, I use that Marshall more in my career probably than anything else because of Jeff.
Well,
You
well,
know,
the decision to take it to go to the newer than the old for Jeff, that's interesting.
yeah. Well, because that's what he was using on tour, and when I played through one and began to use them, I saw what he meant.
Okay.
Very usable and very sturdy on the road, and they held up, and I could get various sounds out of them.
Okay.
So it was really cool. It was what I used live on all the Supersonic Blues Machine shows, and everything I did overseas, was on that amp after that, because of Jeff. Just great stories about back in the old days, because he knew how much the old music really influenced me. And just the great stories about Wired and Blow by Blow, and the formation of Led Zeppelin, and he knew how enthused I was about that story, so he would tell it over and over. It was like, so it was funny, man. It was always like, stories like that, and just making the hangs. And so I was really fortunate enough to see him perform the last time here in Nashville, opening for ZZ Top. And I took a young guitar player here, Locke Thornton, who had never seen Jeff Beck live. And it was really interesting because our seats were very, very close. And I made the comment to him. I said, man, this was like as close as I was sitting when I saw B.B. King and Stevie Ray Vaughan, when I was a kid. And I was like, and this is interesting that you're sitting at the same almost exact footage, and you're getting to see Jeff Beck for the first time. And so to watch Jeff come on stage, I knew it was special. I didn't know why it was special. I just knew in my heart that it was special. And by the fourth song, I was just weeping. I mean, I had tears coming down. I was looking around. There was all these celebrities, because we were sitting right down in the front. And I'm just crying, and I'm looking over at him, and I look at this young guitar player, and he can't even move. I mean, he's sitting in his chair and he's watching. And so, I didn't know that this was going to be the last time that I would ever see Jeff Beck play live. And so, and he came and stood in front of us and played some of the most amazing guitar. And, and I had my phone up and I'm filming, and then I had to put the phone down, and I went, I don't want to miss this because I'm looking at a phone screen.
Yeah.
And I'm filming. And I knew this was a special moment, and I didn't know why. And then I thought about Billy. I thought Billy, man, you got Jeff Beck opening for you? Are you that's who's playing first? Like, that's pretty serious. That's some serious business to follow. I'm just saying, Jeff it's so incredible. It was the best I ever saw him play live, and the last time I ever saw him. So I was very fortunate to get lots of photos and lots of video and see him at the top of his game. And yeah, to receive such a quote and a comment, and to know that he was a fan of my guitar playing is a blessing.
Absolutely. Just on another note for Jeff Beck, Bogart and Peace, they got the Live in Japan being reissued.
Right. I saw that.
That's
I'm,
awesome.
I'm super excited. You know, on Handmade Music back in 2011, a record we did with Jim Gaines in Memphis at Ardent, we recorded Black Cat Moan, and it had been recorded there as well. And I reached, and Carmine Appice reached out to me, and he said, "Man, nobody has ever covered that," and it was the only track that Jeff sang on.
Mm.
And so we kind of did our own little version of it. But that was a tribute we did on that record years ago. We recorded a version of Black Cat Moan, you know. So I'm super excited about this. You know, Tim Bogert was a close, dear friend. He actually came out of retirement to play with myself, Brian Head, the drummer, and Chuck Kavoris, who I call Daddy Chuck, the guitar player. We played at the Baked Potato, and it's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. And we did lots of Cactus, some Beck Bogert Appice. We did, you know, and just we did a lot of my original material. And, you know, to have Tim sat on a stool, you know, it was kind of pre his hip replacement. And he got up and he sang Evil, you know, and we did, you know, and we did all these great songs. So, you know, and I was able to send Tim a message, you know, right before he passed, and he sent me back a really loving comment and message. And then, you know, he passed away the next day. Wow. And, you know, it was really, really cool, man, to be able to know Tim Bogert and to play with him and hear funny stories about him and Jeff Beck. And then, like I say, to have Carmine reach out to me and say, man, wow, like nobody's ever, you know, covered Black Cat Moan. You know, so Beck Bogert Appice was hugely influential on me. What an impactful record that was on my guitar playing. Wow.
Oh, yes. Incredible. Lance Lopez, your knowledge of just what you brought to me today in this interview is great. Thank you very much. Trouble is good. It's very good. Let me
Thanks, Jason.
That again. And just have a great summer promoting
the
album, and everything should be great.
Awesome, Jason. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to seeing you soon, man. Take care.
All right. You take care, and you have a good one.
You too, man. Peace.
Peace.